and verbally communicate with each other. They were completely dependent on each other for success. Collaboration was essential. One group simply gave up in frustration, convinced that the puzzle was impossible to solve. Another group persisted, but got the wrong answer because of a faulty assumption. Yet another group disintegrated as the minutes ticked on, with various factions forming in the corners of the room, arms folded and a look of defeat on their faces. Afterward, a young man in the group that gave up told me that his key takeaway from the exercise was that he never wanted to work in a team-based organization. He admitted that he was frustrated because no one approached the task in what he thought was a rational, organized fashion. He later confessed that all his life, he had been the guy that believed if you wanted something done right, you had to do it yourself. If there was a class project, he not only took the lead, he did everything. Depending upon other people really bothered him. This was the first time he really needed to rely on others for team success. Obviously, that is not the takeaway that I was hoping for. Another group embraced the goal, chose a leader, and physically organized the information using their bodies as props and symbols. They pushed the limits by creatively using candy, coffee mugs, keys, masking tape, and pens as contraband props to organize the information. They manufactured printed words using pasted-together name tags. In short, they sneaked around me because they had created a conspiracy to succeed. To be successful, this challenge involves a lot of collaboration skills, listening, a balance of roles, and a creative, rule-bending mindset. This challenge is not unlike one that many real teams face: dependence on one another for success, frustration, lack of clarity, time pressure, and ambiguity. My independent-minded manager could not solve the puzzle alone. He needed to depend on the group. Yet, in his mind, the group was dysfunctional. Most of the time, we are in a similar position in our teams. In this book, I argue that collaboration is anything but intuitive, and that merely assigning people to teams and telling them to be good team players in no sense sets the stage for effective collaboration. Companies need to disentangle true collaboration from simply physically being in the same place at the same time. True collaboration often calls for periods of focused, independent work, interspersed with periods of intense, structured team interaction. In this sense, teams need to embrace dynamic, hybrid collaborative structures rather than static, monotonous structures. When teams do work together face-to-face, they need to engage differently and not rely on gut intuition. This is where the myth-busting comes in. Collaborative teams need rules. They need conflict. They need some healthy self-interest. They need serious stretch goals, and they need to take much more control of the physical and social environment than most of us are accustomed to doing. Ultimately, creative collaboration is like a good party. People prepare individually. The leader-host sets a good stage, and people arrive in party mode, equipped with essential props. People don't show up hours early or too late, under or overdressed, and with nothing in hand. Nor do they stay too long. This book is going to challenge your notions of what collaboration actually is. It is not 24/7 team cohabitation. It is not a long weekend retreat, and it is certainly not shared office space. Creative collaboration is characterized by thoughtful stage setting, complete with changes of scene, acts that open and close, and connection with the audience. It is not an anything-goes process. Unfortunately, most organizations are not experts when it comes to creative collaboration. I'll start Chapter 1 by exposing the most common myths about creative teamwork. I'll also reveal how to dispel faulty beliefs that give rise to ineffective strategies and introduce strategies and practices that will lead to creative success. Setting the stage for a creative conspiracy. While it might seem heretical to present data that teams are not nearly as creative as individuals in a book on creative collaboration, I can't ignore the scientific facts. Just as surely as cigarettes cause lung cancer, groups are less creative than individuals, at least when left to their own devices. Stated another way, when the stage is not